Scott, I'm going to start with you. These employees who are not responding in protest to this executive action, are they essentially telling this new administration and DOGE, I quit?
I don't think so, not essentially. They don't have the power to hire and fire themselves, but there's so much chaos in regard to whether they should respond to these emails or not. We know a federal judge has said that the mass firing of probationary employees in the government is probably unlawful, and that lawsuit is probably going to be successful. And then you have 8 or 9 other federal decisions that are either blocking the lack of funding or the cease of funding, as well as other firings that the government has gone forward with under DOGE. Listen, everybody wants fraud, waste, and abuse not to be part of the government scheme, but how you go about it and how you don't go about it is key. You don't want chaos. You certainly don't want to take a sledgehammer to it. You can't fix what's wrong with the bureaucracy, but more importantly, you got to do it legally. And we know federal judges, many of them have said, you're not doing this legally. That's not the bureaucracy running America, right? That's democracy and the law being enforced by a third branch of government called the judiciary. And so something's going to give here. Do they have to respond? It's up to the agency and their supervisors. But if I was a government employee and as a lawyer advising them, I would tell them to sit tight. I would tell them to talk to their supervisors, talk to their union rep, and watch what these federal judges do in regard to whether any of this is legal. Because only the U.S. Congress can gut an agency and create an agency, stop funding, as well as do away with an agency. And none of that has occurred, which is a huge issue before these Article III courts right now. And so stay tuned. It's just not that simple. These emails are a pretext to them being terminated and fired. It doesn't really matter whether they answer or not. And with the litigation pending before the federal court and so many decisions against DOGE right now, I believe they ought to sit tight because it really won't matter. They're going to be terminated anyway because the Republicans have to pay for this huge tax cut that's coming for the wealthy and the big corporations. That's what DOGE is all about. They've got to find some money to put money into their wealthy donors' pockets. It certainly is truth to that because he's got $billions of contracts with the FAA and other agencies. And if he's over DOGE and DOGE is firing these people and looking at anti-competitive or his competitor information, that's an inherent conflict. And then they're firing the inspector generals who would be the first source of this conflict and say, you can't have those contracts, you can't review those contracts, and you can't be both the government and the government contractor. This is fundamental conflict of interest law, and those are part of some lawsuits that have been filed as well. And so, listen, as I said, the goal is important. I think Democrats and Republicans like the goal, but how you go about it and whether you've got conflicts and are doing it illegally is a whole nother story. We're not against progress. We just want it to be done legally and surgically and appropriately. And right now, DOGE is causing more problems than what it's solving.